Hi everyone, Gene here. Welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, where every single week we talk about the most common and uncommon questions about tapping and EFT so you can get the most out of your practice, eliminate self-sabotage, and take the action that you want. Before we jump into today's show, I want you to tell you about a new service that I am setting up. I've been hearing over and over again from my clients and people who visit the website, the problem that they're having is remembering to use tapping. It's not knowing how to do it. It's not knowing the phrases. It's not knowing where to start. It's just remembering to start. So what I'm going to do starting July 15th is I am starting a service where 3 times a week, you will receive a text message from me, which will have a link to a tapping resource that will remind you to tap. And if you want, it'll actually give you something to tap along to. Most of the content is going to be stuff that I have already created. So this isn't new content that you're going to be receiving, but about 80% of it is going to be coming from me and from the archive. And the other 20% is going to be coming from people who I love, practitioners who have taught me a lot, who have videos and tapping scripts and things like that. So 3 times a week, sometime during the day, Eastern time. So you're not going to be getting text messages at 2:00 in the morning. You'll just get a little text from me that says, hey, why don't you consider tapping? Here's an option, and you can tap on that or anything you want. The service only costs $20 for the entire calendar year. That's not a reoccurring payment. And after a year, we're not going to charge you again. I'm just going to try this as an experiment for a little bit of a time. And the reason why I'm charging $20 is this is something that's going to cost me money. I can't send you text messages for free, and it's going to cost me and my team time to be able to do it. So even at charging $20 a person, this is probably going to be a money-losing proposition for me. If I'm lucky, I'm going to break even, but that's okay. Because as we've been talking about for the last number of months, the more people are tapping regularly, the healthier you are and the healthier the world is. And it's a way for us to continue to just send this healing power of transforming lives out so it impacts others. And so I'd really encourage you to consider it. So if you go to tappingqa.com/SMS, and SMS, that's Sam, Michael, Sam. SMS is what they refer to text messages as. So if you go to tappingqa.com/SMS, you'll see all of the details and you can see how you can sign up. I've also included in the show notes the URL. So if you just go into the show notes right now, whatever app you're listening to this in, if you tap on it, it will take you to the place. The 2 things that are important, and you'll see this at checkout, is I need your country code because this is going to work all over the world, and I need your phone number so that I can make sure you get those things starting July 15th. And if you have any questions, I can always be reached at Gene, Gene, at tappingqa.com. Let's get into the show. This is Gene Montreux still, and welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 369, originally aired June 26, 2019. Hi everyone, I hope this finds you well wherever you are and whatever time of day you're getting a chance to listen to this. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Today, we are going to talk about and tap on being too nice. And this is the perfect example of a recommendation that came from a reader. As you know, if you go to the website and you click on contact, there's a place where you can ask me questions. And I love hearing your questions. The website, the podcast have been built on questions from listeners and readers just like you. And from time to time, I get, hey, how do I tap for this? And if in the archive, because there are over 850 free resources now on the website, there is something that is useful, what I'll do is I'll just send people a link to that thing. And someone in the last couple of weeks sent me a note saying, hey, how do I tap on being too nice? And I thought that was a really great topic. So that's what we're going to do today. But before we talk about that and we tap on that, as always, we need to thank the people who support the podcast. Since the beginning of the calendar year, we've just been thanking people all over the world who've been downloading the podcast. Today, I'd like to thank the people in Latvia, Bulgaria, Paraguay, El Salvador, and Uruguay. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast, and to wherever you are in the world, thanks for taking some time. It just is it's a labor of love, and the more tapping that you're doing, the better our whole world is going to be for everyone. And if you would like to financially support the podcast, you can do that if you go to tappingqa.com/support. That's tappingqa.com/support. Again, the link is in the show notes. In addition to making sure that the podcast continues to be free to people all over the world, you'll receive some amazing gifts. Tap along audios, access to bonus podcasts every single month, the opportunity to help dictate what's going forward. As we're moving forward, I'm going to start transcribing a bunch of the old podcast episodes. You can have written versions of them as well. And the folks who are supporting the podcast are getting input and helping to choose which ones we transcribe first. So if you'd like to be a part of that, tap in qna.com/support. It's really amazing how often the topic of being too nice comes up in my client sessions. And I guess as I think about it, it's probably not amazing because the people who are drawn towards self-development work, who are trying to make themselves better, typically are good, thoughtful people and recognize the fact that there are people around them who need help, who are big-hearted, who want to make a difference in the world. The problem is that it is easy for us to create relationships and the way that we negotiate those relationships out, that because we are so helpful, people move to a place where they look for us to solve the problems that they're having, even if they could do it on their own, just because we are so nice and we are so kind. And so it becomes this really difficult tension between wanting to be a kind-hearted, loving person and at the exact same time not wanting to be taken advantage of. And so what we're going to do is we're just do some tapping around being too nice. And we're going to work through this in a couple of stages. What it's like to be too nice, what it's like when people take advantage of us, and how it is possible for us to transform that and do it in such a way that we still know that we are a good, kind person in the world and we're not just being selfish. Because that's the tension. We're afraid that if I stop being nice, then I'm going to be a jerk. And there's actually multiple stops along the way between being a doormat and being a giant jerk that doesn't help anybody at all. So to begin with, tap on the side of the hand, take a nice big deep breath for me. Take another nice big deep breath. And just move from tapping point to tapping point, repeating after me. I like being nice. I like the fact that I am kind. I like the fact that I think about others. I like the fact that I am helpful to others. I like the fact that I am trying to make the world a better place. The world would be a better place if more people were kind. The world would be a better place if more people were thoughtful. At the exact same time, people take advantage of me. Because I am so nice. They know I'm going to help. They know I'm going to show up. They know I'm going to stop what I'm doing to help them. And because of this, people take advantage of me. Because of this, people don't take time to solve their own problem. Because it is easier for them to have me solve the problem for them. This makes me feel like I'm being taken advantage of. I don't like being taken advantage of. I don't like being a doormat. I don't like being too nice. At the same time, I don't want to turn into a jerk. I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be thoughtless. I don't want to be careless. I don't want to be cold-hearted. But there is a middle ground. I can have boundaries and still be kind. I can put my needs first and still be thoughtful. I can have clear boundaries and still have rich relationships. I can be healthy and not be too nice. I can be healthy and not be a heartless jerk. There is a middle path where I have clear boundaries and I am taking care of myself, while at the same time being thoughtful and caring for others. I give myself permission to create healthy boundaries. So that people are not taking advantage of me. And when I do this, I will be thoughtful. I will be deliberate. I will be kind. When I have healthy boundaries, I am healthier. When I am healthier, it is easier for me to care for others. It's not an all or nothing proposition. I can have boundaries and be kind. I can be kind without being too nice. So very simple, straightforward tapping. If there's anything that kind of popped up in the middle of that, I'd really encourage you to take some notes real quick so you can go back and see if there are memories or places where you saw yourself being too kind and being taken advantage of and wanting to make sure that that wasn't happening again. Or you might have bumped into memories of places where you set up boundaries and people scolded you for that. Because you have the right to do that. And so give yourself permission to recognize either end of the spectrum. That in the tapping there, we could have uncovered either of those. And it could just be as simple as going back and replaying the tapping again. If you'd like a printed out version of this script, all you need to do is go to tappingpodcast.com, click on the link for episode 368. If you happen to be listening to this in the website right now, it's directly below. If you have downloaded the Tapping Q&A app, which is available for both Android and Apple devices, if you go into the text area, you will see a printed version of that script. If you haven't done so already, I'd really encourage you to download that app. For every single time we do a tap along just like this, what we also do is we include the script on the app. Again, the app is free. There's no ads. All you need to do is go into the App Store for whatever device you have, search Tapping Q&A, and you'll have access to our entire back catalog of all of the audios plus this particular script. If you know someone in your life who is very susceptible to being too nice and being a doormat to others, I'd really encourage you to pass this along to them. Don't spam your inbox, but I'm sure there's 1 or 2, 3 people who could really, really appreciate something like this today. And as you know, we're just trying to continue to spread the good news of tapping. If you know someone out there who isn't tapping yet, feel free to share this with them. Share the podcast. You might even wrestle their phone away from them and just subscribe them so they have access to these resources. Because the goal is this year for us to get 9 new people a day tapping. If we're able as a community to get 9 new people a day tapping, that means this calendar year we're going to add 3,000 new tappers, and the world is just going to be a happier, healthier place if that is the case. If you have a question or a comment or something you'd like to see us cover in the future, just like this particular topic came from a listener just like you, I can always be reached at Gene, Gene, at tappingqa.com. If you go to tappingqa.com, you can click on that contact link. If you've downloaded the app, just click the contact section inside of the app. You can send me an email or even a voice memo from directly inside of the app. I love hearing from people just like you, making sure that I'm creating resources that are making a difference in the world. On the Tapping Q&A podcast, this is Gene Montrestelli. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye-bye. The Tapping Q&A podcast is copyright Gene Montrestelli, Tapping Q&A 2016. All views expressed by guests are those of the guests and not necessarily of Gene Montrestelli or Tapping Q&A.